de girasol. Si te intriga pasado el tiempo y aún pienso en vos, me hacen falta los suspiros tropezados que sentí al tenerte a mi lado.
I think cherries come in pairs, and I'm never without my siblings, which is such a funny little thing to say, but in reality, anywhere I go, my siblings go with me, and I hope that's what ends up happening in my future.
Yeah, I don't know, it's the first thing that comes up to me is like when you like cut an orange or when you're about to taste an orange, like you don't know if it's gonna be like sweet or sour. So I feel like that explains the future right now. Like I don't know if it's gonna be all sunshines and rainbows.
I wouldn't say it's like my favorite meal, but favorite holiday meal is like our classic Thanksgiving dinner where we do the whole spread, and sometimes we make like our Venezuelan bread, and that aroma like just takes me right back to that every single year. I'm like young adult right now. I still feel like I'm young, but I'm 25, so mid-20s. I feel like everyone tells me I have a lot of time. It feels like I need to be in a certain place, which everyone always says you shouldn't. Everyone lives their lives at their own pace, but I feel like I need to be somewhere else than I am right now.
I feel like when I was younger, I didn't really have like a vision of what I would, like 10-year-old me never had a vision of what like 19-year-old me was like gonna be doing.
The stage of life that I'm in right now, I'm trying to figure a lot of things out, but mostly growth. In all honesty, the way that I grew up, it was kind of just trying to figure out how to get through the day. I was never really focused on having a future, especially when you have two younger siblings. I was so focused on making sure that they got through the day in a safe manner, in a healthy manner, that it wasn't important for me to think of the future, in a sense. I just had to focus on helping them at the time. That's what was important to me.
I think there was a turning point for me, like between 6th grade and junior high. I just really, I got straight A's for like the first time, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I was like, I have to keep that going. But also like in school, you don't have the luxury of just, you know, trying out different things. At least us, we had to really have a structured plan or have an idea of what we wanted to pursue due to limited funds or scholarships, things like that. So I really had to kind of focus in on that, and I had to pick a thing, and I did it.
You know, when you were a kid and you'd wake up on Christmas morning and your chest is just like so tight with like excitement. Like, I think now as an adult that feeling is a little bit different, but in a sense just that feeling of tightness in my chest, of feeling happy or excited or feeling loved. I think that's what I need to feel fulfilled in my life. For a moment, I was so academically driven because I really wanted something for myself. For the longest time, my identity revolved around being a sister. That's all I was. I was always Mateo and Aleda's sister. And I prided myself on it. I was very proud of being their sister, and that's all I wanted to be. It wasn't until I got to college that I started realizing that I actually have to have my own sense of self. You can't put on resumes that you're most proud of being a sister. That's not how that works.
Like when I'm having trouble with like school or schoolwork, and I like try to convey that to like my parents or my sister, it's like they'll be like, oh no, like it's fine, like you got this, like it's okay, you'll get through it. And even like my other friends who are first gen, it's like they're in the same boat. Like we're all just like, we don't know what we're doing.
What being first gen means to me is that I got to do something for our family. I feel like that had a lot to do with our parents, and so I got to prove to them that what they did coming here was worth it. As of right now, the next step I think for myself is starting my life independently. I think it's time for me to learn how to be on my own, how to take care of myself. Like, we've had the luxury of being at home. I'm just nervous that when I move out, I love my family a lot, and it makes me nervous. I won't keep in touch as much or see you guys as often.
Especially my dad, I'm just like, I just know, like, he definitely like had like so much potential, and I know he like, maybe if he stayed in Mexico, he could have had like a whole different life, you know, amazing career or something. You know, he chose to come here at 18, so I like definitely think about him a lot. Like, I can't take advantage of what they did. So that's why I feel like, oh, I have to do better, I have to do this, like I have to do that, because it's like, I think about them and I'm like, you know, they could have had this life that I'm having.
I think people that helped me along to where I am today is definitely like our parents, mom, dad. They've always been very supportive in our academics, and that's always what they kind of wanting to do it for them, but also for myself, both of those things. The differences in life, like when my mom was 25 versus me, like I've thought of that a lot. And by the time she was my age, she had left a country and gone somewhere that she had no idea how to speak, totally new environment, people, but she went so wholeheartedly. And compared to me, like, I don't think I could do that. What keeps me going, like, on a day-to-day basis is just the unknown. Every day is different, and you don't know if it's going to be a good one or a bad one.
I feel very confused and angry a lot of the time. I don't really know what to do with myself, and I don't know who to go to for help. In these situations, I wish I could ask my mom for guidance, but it's just not something that she's familiar with. Being first generation comes with a lot of questions and uncertainty.
Siento que te vas sin despedirte de mí. Can, 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 solo quiero que me quieras como yo te quiero a ti. Es con paciencia que se hacen las tortillas de maíz. Es que lo bueno lleva tiempo y no me queda más. Así que dame una respuesta. Vaya a morir en paz. Ámame.
I've always told myself that everything that I do in my life is for the good of my siblings. But then it just kind of got to a point where it's like, and who's going to be doing all that good for me? So then I just stopped. And I failed a lot of classes. I'm not proud of it, and I hate reflecting on it, but I failed a lot, and I don't even know how I ended up graduating high school, but there was a lot of people that weren't my family that were pushing me to finish school, to do this and to do that, and I think that was like a switching point in my life where that I deserved something, that I didn't have to be all these things for everyone else, that I could instead be these things for myself, that I deserved that myself. I think that was just a little hard of a pill to swallow, but yeah, you kind of just start growing and realizing things.
And it's like a rough journey, but that's like all part of your journey to get where you are. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and you have younger siblings too. Like, I only have one, but you have more younger siblings. How do you think, do they look up to you a lot? Are you responsible for them a lot?
Yeah, well, yeah, growing up the way that I did, so I grew up in the foster system, it was very difficult because you have it was just my two siblings. I have another younger brother as well, but my brother and my sister, it's hard because you don't have parents or any type of figure protecting you or looking after you, so I had to become that for them, and I was so young.
You had to grow up really fast.
Yeah, and it was so difficult. And it's kind of like, who does that for me? if I'm constantly that person for them, then who's going to be that for me? And I think that's a selfish question. I always ask myself that, and I always feel so selfish afterwards, but then it's also like, that's kind of like a basic necessity.
Yeah.
I didn't have to feel selfish in order to have these things. It's
like basic needs.
Basic
like you
needs.
said. Everyone needs nurturing and caring for. If you're always providing that, how are you supposed to, do that for others?
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot for one person, and you should be really proud of yourself. I mean, for me, I guess, like, we're a direct first generation. When it came to school and when it came to me being in life and trying to figure out my young adultness here, it was kind of hard because they always compare it to their young adult lives in their countries, and it's very different than here. And so they're like, oh, by this age I moved out, or I did this, or I'm like this. And I was like, whoa, there's no way I could do that today. And it's very interesting, at least in terms of also like academics. Like my mom, she didn't get to graduate college. She wanted to, but that's when she came here. I felt a necessity to fulfill that for her. And even when I graduated, she said that I gave my grandma a degree because she was like, none of her daughters were able to do that for her. And she's like, and you did. And so when my grandma came to my graduation, that was huge. But also like double sorted, where it was like, it was also like, because of her I did this, but also it was like, I'm glad I got to do that for her. So it was interesting.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way too. Like, I don't know. Because also, like, yeah, like my dad, he always talks about, like, he's like, oh, like, it's awesome that you're, like, going to university because, like, I always wanted to. And he's, like, such a smart guy. If he would have probably stayed in Mexico, he would have had, like, so much potential. Yeah, they're always, like, they always tell my family, they're like, oh, yeah, like, she's going to be a nurse. Like, she's going to do this. And I'm just like, oh, now like, I need to, like, do this so I can make him happy.
You're like, I can't back out anymore. I can't change my mind. Or, you don't have that luxury either. You're like, I'm stuck and I have to do this now. Yeah.
Which, like, I know they'd be happy regardless. Like, even if I did decide for some reason to, like, not do college, like, at all, I know they'd still be proud of me. But I still just want to, like,
it's a weird
give them that pride. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird feelings.
I get that, yeah.
I think that our lives just don't belong to us entirely. And I don't think that's a negative thing. I think it's a very beautiful thing to think that all of our grandparents and our parents put us in the position that we are, and we owe them that. And it's difficult because sometimes I think too, I'm like, I don't want to do school, I'm not happy, or I'm stressed, I'm all these things, but my life is not my own.
My life is not my own, feed me old promises, until they begin to burn upon my skin.
Let me breathe in your strength, then perhaps I may take the grace
in which I can never uphold. I've taken your anger, it has tunneled my path.
Where should I stand to navigate this road?
You've given me yourself entirely,
and yet I still do not feel worthy.
Let me feel your pain, but must I feel selfish?
It's fair and unfair a weight I could never explain.
I am lost between guilt and always hollow. Hold my hand, mama.
Ilumina mi camino.
No quiero más que ser tu hija.